Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. In today's video, I am talking about intuition. This is something that we all have intuitive senses, the ability to intuit what's happening around us, what's possibly going to happen, the outcome of things, or the direction we should take. But some of us are naturally just tuned into it, I think. And then others of us have had to uh, work at honing in on it because for whatever reason, like me, we learned not to trust it. Um, and I think what happens with intuition, like what I see in the world, is a couple things. One is it's trending a little bit, right? Like it's a word and a topic that's come up, and it's up a lot in the collective communication, um and that's a good thing. I think it's good that people are understanding more about what it is, how to use it, how to tap into it. um and the other thing is, I think that, I don't know, for me, I think I thought that some people were intuitive and some people weren't, right? But I think it's more a matter of really being connected and tuned in. So for me, for many years, especially when I was younger, I had very good intuition. I just didn't trust it at all. And it kind of messed me up in a way because I didn't trust, maybe what people were telling me. Maybe they weren't telling me the truth, and I, I knew something wasn't right, but I didn't question it, and I kind of found out later that I was right, and things like things like that, you know. Um, and I had to really decide that I wanted to trust this thing that I was experiencing, because I would experience that, I had intuitive thoughts or feelings and I wouldn't follow them, but then I would see, down the line that they were right, and that they turned out the way I thought they would, or that, whatever it was, I intuited correctly. And learning to trust that intuition has been a big part of my life, especially I'd say in the last 10 to 15 years. I really was really specific about wanting to learn how to hone that sense and that skill of tapping into my intuition and then following it. That's like the key second part. You can have the intuition all day, but you want to be able to trust it and follow it. And it's interesting because it's so different than our thought processes, you know? Um, it's different than thinking about something. And if you've had an intuitive thought or an intuitive sense, you'll know that sometimes it comes in as a thought, right? Sometimes it comes in as almost like a message, like someone saying, literally a voice saying something. For some people, it is, they see something, right? Maybe it's like you envision something, and that's an intuition of what to do or what path to follow. Um, Others, feel it really in their gut, or it's just a feeling or like a sense. Um, and then other times, maybe your intuition comes as a color, or like a feeling, like a really strong feeling. So there's different ways that each of us experience intuition. And if you don't know that, if you think that intuition is only maybe like having a vision of something, right? Then it's a little harder to trust whatever way you uh, tune into it if that's not how you experience it. So yeah, so intuition is real, in my opinion, and and learning to trust it, also in my experience, takes some practice. Now I know people who are very tuned in, and it doesn't take so much practice. They're intuiting all the time, and maybe they're very good at following it. And then I think we also can be good at following our intuition in some places in our lives and maybe not so much in others. Um, and the thing about intuition is when we're tapping into it more often, it does put us in a different sort of flow of our lives, that's different than thinking and problem solving. I have a couple of examples of some friends of mine. One of them, just said to me a while back, like, I get these intuitives, I get these senses, I sense it and then it comes true. And I'm like, yeah, that's your intuition. Um, but it's so different than our thinking mind that it's hard to, we use our thinking mind to check things, right? To be like, oh, is that true? Or is that, it's sort of like that analytical thing. And it's a great tool in our human toolbox, right? Like we need that part of us. But it's really different than this intuitive sense. So we don't always know the why or the how of our intuitive thoughts and feelings and senses. And so that's one of the reasons it can be hard to follow them or trust them, because it's just so different than how we're used to operating. And it's something intuition itself is in the flow of the universe, right? And so that's why we get more in the flow when we tap into it more often and sort of follow it more often. The other story is a friend of mine who was, in kind of a bad relationship with somebody, and they couldn't even tell what was going on entirely. Like they weren't happy, but they, until they sort of started tapping into this intuitive sense more, it was really hard for them to see what was happening fully in that relationship, and make a change there. And yeah, so that intuitive piece is really different, and it helped get them out of that, but it wasn't through figuring it out in the mind, right? So I think that's it. Just that we all experience this really differently, and it's good to kind of just explore and notice how you receive and perceive your intuitive senses, and then start to trust them. And the way that I have done that part is when I do take action and from an intuitive feeling, or thought or understanding, I then just make sure I take note, right? It's like, okay, I had this idea or this sense, I took action on it, or things just unfolded, right, through in the way that I was sensing, and I was right about it, or I was clear about it, or it was the right thing to do. It took me in the right direction, however you want to say it. And when those things happen, to then go, okay, it happened. That's how you get good at trusting it. You say like, okay, it went this way and it happened. I had the intuition, and I trusted it, and then it came about. And when you really, it's like every time that happens, you kind of have to go back and say, this is what happened. I noticed that, I acknowledge that, and really just feel into what that feels like to have trusted that intuition, that intuitive part of you. So, and then that gets stronger when you do that. Yeah. So I would love to hear anything in the comments about how you do experience your intuition. If it comes in audibly, auditorily, visually, sensory. We all kind of understand what a gut feeling is, but we still do have these other ways that we experience our intuition. Yeah, so pop me a little note in the chat and share anything with me about this that you want to share for yourself, or let me know if you're someone who knows you also have some intuitive sense but can't quite trust it, and want to know more about how to do that. Yeah, so have a great day. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next time. Peace and love.